In this video, I'm going to attempt to explain some of the basics of inheritance in Visual Basic.net. Now, in previous versions of Visual Basic, you had the concept of inheritance. However, it was dramatically different. What you had in VB6 and in some previous versions was the concept of interface inheritance. Interface inheritance allowed you to create stubs of methods that could then be implemented within your inherited class or your derived class. And while that was good to some extent, where you could enforce some types of contract within your application, say, I support this interface, and therefore you had some type of polymorphism. Unfortunately, one of the things it didn't do was allow for code inheritance, and that's what you commonly refer to as implementation inheritance, where what we're going to demonstrate right now, where you have code in the actual methods, that whenever you derive a class from the base class, you derive the implementation of all the methods and all the properties that are contained therein. And so this is where you really get into some powerful stuff, because not only can you derive them, but you can override certain properties and methods. You can also add additional ones. This type of inheritance allows you to have the type of relationship that says is-a, is commonly referred to. It's a form of generalization as it's referred to in UML. And so what you can have is an automobile class, but then have a specific implementation of the automobile class, an inheritance of the automobile class called Mercedes or called Oldsmobile or whatever you might prefer. And it can inherit all the properties of the generic automobile class, plus implement a bunch of additional methods and properties that are specific to the Mercedes or to the Oldsmobile. You often hear this example used as well with like animals. So you have an animal class, but then you can have a dog implementation, and you can have an ape, and you can have a fish, and you can go on and on. But they will all share some similar properties and methods, but they're inherently different, and so you can override and extend some of those inherited classes. At any rate, that's enough explanation. Let's go in and actually show some code. What I've done is create a small application, and what it has is one form, and let me show you the form. Looks something like that, my typical beautiful forms that I've been creating with one button on them, and then I've created a class file, .vb extension, that implements our ideal automobile. An automobile has some private member variables, the make, the model, the year, and the color, and then we have some properties that expose those private member variables, the make, the model property, the year property, and the color property. And then finally we have a method called price, which we're just returning a hard-coded value of $52,599. Okay? So that is our automobile class. Now what we're going to do within our form, let's open up the code, is we're going to create another class. It's very small, but it has all the functionality of the automobile class. You know why? Because it has this inherits automobile. And so what we can do within our main application, whenever anybody clicks the button, so we have our button 1 click event, what we do is we create an instance of our Mercedes class, keeping in mind that our Mercedes class really inherits from automobile, and then we call the price method, and it's going to return that hard-coded value to us in a message box. Admittedly, this is a very, very simple use of inheritance, and we're going to extend this as we continue on this video series. But it should give you some of the basic understanding of how this works. So we have an automobile. All we got to do to inherit from automobile and create a specialized automobile called Mercedes is to inherit from the automobile within our Mercedes class. We create an instance of Mercedes, and then we show the price function. Now the price function obviously not in our class, but it is in the automobile class. So let's go ahead and hit the run button. And in just a moment, we get our beautiful form. And we click our button 1, and our Mercedes class returns to us the price of $52,599.85. Again, price was not implemented, and this is an important thing to understand. The only reason we have price is not because it was defined here, but because it was defined in the automobile class from which we inherit. So we'll go back and take a look at our price function within our automobile class. Now what we'll do is, in future videos, we're going to override the price class because not all automobiles cost $52,599, but the Mercedes might, probably does, don't have one, wish I did. And we may have additional features, and we may want a preset. We already know what the make is. It's a Mercedes. So there's going to be some things that we do to override the base class automobile, and we're going to set some new properties and add some additional functions and things that make a Mercedes a Mercedes. So I hope this video was helpful as a beginning step in learning inheritance. Thank you very much.